life is a movie when music literally follows you everywhere.
I'm sure we could pay them to follow us anywhere.
Probably. Soundtrack to your life. Out of our little humble village, and now we are in the ancient and once covered in volcanic ash city of Pompeii. It's actually pretty interesting. You can see the different types of architecture that was used in that time, and they're really right. It is an archaeological Disneyland for people. The only downfall is there's a lot of people. It's a Disneyland for a reason. There's just so many people. It's so accessible, which makes it both amazing and awesome, but also really frustrating at times because it's hard to really appreciate and see things and all the details when there's literally several hundred other people vying for the exact same view.
Standing in the way of things and in your way.
And taking selfies with dead bodies. Let's be respectful here, people. So, I'm pretty sure it wasn't like this in the olden days, a pot warehouse, but these seem to be all the collections that's been uncovered in the area. Really beautiful. And it's amazing how well preserved they all are, considering they were all covered in ash. And they've been excavating, like we were just saying, since the 17th century. They're still excavating. They're still finding stuff. So, it's a lot of work. So we've managed to find a little bit of peace and quiet in one of the old ruins. Looks like an old house.
Yeah. Just been cruising along the main drag in old Pompeii. It's a pretty cool town, but locals aren't as lively as they used to be.
But there is a lot of really cool architectural features. This, and more specifically, walls like these. You can see this really interesting bricklaying pattern that I haven't seen anywhere else in our travels across Italy.
As you can see, it's just literally a ghost town.
Well, minus us. And everyone else.
Just part of everyday life here in Pompeii. Just a cool, everyday stone oven.
Just filling up water at the old Pompeii water hole.
You can see this company has been in business for a long time. It was still operating when Pompeii was.
It's like some of the walls of the city. This looks like a sewer down here too, like a river once ran through here.
Yeah, we keep trying to steal off the main road because it feels like there's more tourists here right now than there were people who actually lived in Pompeii at the time. So it gets a little overwhelming at times.
There are some evidence of some pretty interesting remains, like these wheels. And then over here, you can see what was once a temple.
So, as you probably could have guessed, we've stumbled upon some archaeology students.
People actually working still on the site.
It would have been cool to see a non-Jesus related fresco.
Apparently out here, a lot of their frescoes are all penis related. Yay! So we're going to the Villa of the Mysteries. So So this one apparently includes the residential section that's overlooking the sea. But there's a large fresco depicting a mystery ritual scene. That's why the villa got the name, where a woman's initiation of marriage. Pretty impressive that even after the eruption that all of this could be recovered. With such vibrant colors. I think this is our first find of a body. It doesn't even look real. It looks so tiny. So it's pretty impressive that doors survived. I mean, it looks like it's become rock though too. It used to be wood, but now it's rock. And also, like, look at the beautiful colors and tile work all along this floor. And then over here, such small detail work. Almost looks like a bath, but I can't tell. So now we're literally in the mystery room of the Villa of Mysteries, and you can see the really beautiful fresco that's really beautifully maintained along the wall, depicting pretty sexual scenes, which I guess were pretty normal at the time. And then there's the marriage mystery, I don't know, I guess like ritual that was happening. But it looks like part of it's just everyday life, or what they interpreted everyday life to be like, only if you had an angel involved. It looks just like a feast. I think there's a fawn down there. Really beautiful. Amazing to expect.
So inside the Mystery Villa, we just had our first encounter with one of those, I guess, cement-filled body holes. They poured in cement into a cavity where someone used to be. And it's really weird seeing one for the first time in person. Because they're not really bodies, they're just the spaces people used to occupy, and then we just, because our bodies are long gone in a way, and it's just the space they used to inhabit, and we've taken it and moved somewhere else. Just a weird thought.
As you can see in here, it's just all the, well, not all, just many of the cement bodies frozen in time in the way that they died. Some of them look like they were standing, some of them look like they were laying down, some of them are just pieces of people. It's really eerie. So this is the house of the baker. This is where they milled all the grains. Had a big vaulted oven, which is this big guy. And they had a mule, which a skeleton was found in this room of the mule, because he was used for the grinding process. So this is the age-old cafeteria of Pompeii. It looks actually nicer than some other cafeterias I've been to.
Cleaner.
Yeah. So these jars in the cafeteria, they used to contain all the goods. So you could just reach in, grab what you want, pay the vendor, and then you could go sit at the back and have your meal. So this beautiful little gem is the house of the small fountain and the frescoes, and this really beautiful tiled fountain has managed to stay intact, mostly. There's a few shelves missing and it's not running water, but you can see the birds and the sort of sea man at the top. So we are in the House of the Faun right now. It is the largest house in Pompeii. It spans quite a distance, and it's got a lot of really magnificent features, like this big courtyard with all these columns. We've seen different tile work, like one of them is right here. It's this beautiful, beautiful tile work with the horse bed. So right now we're in the house of Morini Dorati, and the name is due to the gold cherubs laminate. that decorate the room. This garden is really beautiful. It was fountain just to taste the masonry, depicted some Egyptian deities, Anubis.
Here you can see ancient Pompeii from above. We're just up on a hill here on the outside of the city.
You can see how tall some of the buildings really were. I mean, most everything's been leveled to just one story, but it wasn't always like that.
It's really pretty tiny when you see it from this way.
So we were just talking about how it's nice to be in a city in Italy that isn't completely covered in Christian paraphernalia, because this predated that, but we can't help shake the feeling that it just feels like, because of all the excavation work that's been done, it just feels more like an abandoned town rather than a place where a huge disaster took place. I mean, you can see behind me Mount Vesuvius in the distance, and it doesn't seem like it reached here. It just seems like people left. So this is the amphitheater. It's pretty majestic. Could you imagine digging this bad boy out underneath all the ash? It's very impressive. They used it for gladiator battles, and apparently a violent riot broke out between Pompeii and Nocera, and the field was disqualified for 10 years. So because of that, ever since then, there's been some sort of resentment by the people of Pompeii towards Nocera because, yeah, they didn't like them. And also because the former had recently become a colony and absorbed part of its territory, so weren't fans. So right now we're in the last place we wanted to really stop on our way out of Pompeii, or Pompeii, as we like to call it. Makes it cuter. Are these baths. So it's actually pretty cool here. The way they kept it warm is they had furnaces that would produce the heat, and then they would have basically room in the walls, and the air was produced through the furnaces would circulate through the walls. So it'd be basically in the ducts everywhere, it would completely envelop you, so it'd be super nice and warm. Which is pretty smart. They're pretty beautiful. I love the idea of baths like this, open shared baths.
Here we are at Mount Vesuvius, the star of the show. You can see below us modern day Pompeii. It's quite a bit bigger than ancient Pompeii. I don't even know where it is.
So we are now on the top of Mount Vesuvius. It's seems quiet, which is a good sign. Pretty deep. It smells a little sulfuric-y, but can't see anything active from here, if there is anything. It's definitely different than the volcanoes that we saw in Iceland. Those ones were fissure volcanoes for the most part. Well, this one, it erupts up. Mostly, I think, along here is just a lot of pumice and soot. It doesn't have a lot of magma, it's more about the hot air that does the damage with a volcano like this, and that's what killed most of Pompeii. It wasn't any lava, it was the sulfuric hot air.
The pyroclastic cloud.
Mount Vesuvius is mostly dormant right now, but if you look off to the right, you can see some smoke coming from right there, and then from right there, just in the side of the mountain. You can see that one over there a bit better. There's just a little bit every once in a while from right there. But you can tell that underneath it's still active. It's still got magma, probably a couple of meters below the surface of this caldera. So now we're just walking around the rim of the volcano, and it's just pretty plain on this side, just a lot of the pumice that's been spit out, and some pretty beautiful mountains. So that's cool. Oh, and they have this awesome yellow tree, like so yellow. Isn't that insane? Looks like a bunch of dandelions. Only they're trees. They're dandy trees. Also, note to yourself, don't wear sandals. It sucks. There's always rocks in them. You'll never get them out. So, a hot and dusty day. So sweat leads to all the dust of Pompeii and Vesuvius onto my feet. This is why you should wear something other than sandals, in essence. Also, it's very rocky and pumicy. Also, on another note, you shouldn't trust the bus line. It said it was going to come at 8:05, but it's not. It didn't. Now they say 9:05. Well, technically they say 9:15, so we'll see, and we'll hope. But don't rely on this thing. It's a dirty, dirty liar. And probably like 5 years old, which is why it's probably not accurate. So, we're on our way to Capri, obviously. We're trying to get there early in the morning because apparently about 15,000 other people will be with us touristing the island today, which is insane. Thankfully, our boat guide gave us a lot of good tips on how to avoid most of that and where to go to actually see the island. But apparently it can get upwards of 30,000, so you want to get here early and leave early and try and avoid the tourist traps and the main squares. But thankfully it's all walking, so that's nice. So we just walked down a street in Capri that basically had every expensive store on earth, plus ones that I'm pretty sure didn't even exist up until this point. And there's also a hotel that's like 900 euros a night, which is ridiculous. But one quick turn of a corner and you happen upon this cute little alleyway and it's pretty quiet. Minus us, of course, because we're the tour. Well, we're not really on a tour. We're just being led to the gardens. But yeah, you can already tell that this is an island for people who have money, and lots of it. So, €1 will gain you entry to Augusta's garden on Capri, and you have some pretty astounding views, so you can look out all along Capri, and then also in this direction, you can see the three, I guess, peaks of Capri all along here. It also should be noted that while these gardens are named after Augusta, it actually wasn't built by him or by the Romans at all. It was actually built by a man named Krupp. And this area was all donated by him, as well as the winding path that was along one of the coastlines. And this is the flower section of it. With Asian tourists everywhere. So when you get into Capri, you can see this big clock tower and the funicular there that will take you through the train up to the other villages. But if you turn around, you've got a nice view of the harbor and the mountains. So after 3 days of hiking, we opted to take the chairlift to the top of Capri Island, and it's really quite peaceful. It's a 13-minute ride, $10 round trip, and you get to have a pretty awesome, relaxing view. So we just left Anna Capri, and now we are on the chairlift up to the summit, where you can get a really beautiful panoramic view of the entire island of Capri. But it's single-seater only, and if you have bags or flip-flops, you gotta either wear them on the front or take them off, because once they're down, you're never going to get them again. You walk through this little garden thing until you come out to see the Capri that we were just in from above. It's pretty. Or some sort of reaction like that. You choose. So this is the entrance to the Blue Grotto. We didn't do it because it was expensive and seemed busy, but you can see all the people who get on the little rowboats, and then they have to take the rowboats in because it's only about a meter high, and they only spend about 2 minutes in there. Worth 30 euros? It's up to you.
Rocks, the reefs from the Greek word pharos. If you get to Alexandria in Greece, there's a lighthouse right in the harbor. And this area is called Pharos. At the Roman times, they were speaking here for a long time, not in Roman, not in Latin, but in Old Greek. So when they were speaking Old Greek, they called these rocks Pharos, like the harbor in Alexandria. And please get really close to each other. Vicini, vicini, vicini.
Apparently this is a tunnel of love, an old tunnel of love, and you're supposed to kiss when you go under it for good luck. And we need all the luck we can get, so...
Signori, avvicinatevi un po', that's right. Get the arm around your partner. Vicini, vicini, please. On my three, on your three. 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 2 e mezzo, and 3. Kiss, 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 kiss. Okay. More or less. I don't know if you're lucky tomorrow, but that's okay. Have a look behind us. What a nice picture. Now it's much better because the light comes from the other side. Questo è più bello perché la luce è dall'altra parte. I famosi faraioli.
They think everything looks like the Virgin Mary.
Una statua di una Madonna, ma è una rosa.
This is the White Grotto. You can see the stalactites and stalagmites.
in here because La Grotta Bianca, the white cake. Have a look. On top, on top, on top, on top. Same area, limestone rock looks like a Virgin Mary. Without the color of the water changed, the color of the limestone because of the reflection.
The color of the limestone is quite beautiful. It is really pretty white. I just want to climb it. I want to see more. What's in there? Guess we'll never know. That boat ride even has some romantic music. It's a nice touch.